Hello, so I'm back with another lower production video, and I'm not really sure what what this is really about, and I realize that's a terrible direction to launch from, but I think I'm just going to call this like my recent Nintendo handheld adventures, and just kind of talk about the handhelds that I have, and just talk about some of these. I don't know, my recent discoveries of fun that is to be had here with these older systems, old and new. I've got quite a bit of hardware just kind of chilling here. I've got more. This is just what I've been messing around with here recently, and I'm just going to basically rattle on here about random stuff and just kind of just, I don't know, maybe this will somebody might find this interesting, just to see how maybe someone who gets into something like video games and how it kind of transpires and leads from one thing to another, and you're constantly digging deeper into the I don't know, the possession or collecting of these things. So I guess I'll start with this guy, and it really started with someone in my family decided that they were going to pick up Tetris for the PlayStation 4, and when they did, pardon the chair, it squeaks like crazy. I think it's called Tetris Enhanced or Tetris something. Here, let me find out real quick. Tetris Effect is the name of that game. And anyways, it just kind of reminded me of Tetris and how such a simple game turned out to be so popular. And there were kids in the room, and I said, hey, you know what, kids, this game might be one of the reasons why dare I say, the original Game Boy was so popular. I believe this was a pack-in game. Now, I'm a big fan of video games, but I don't know a whole lot of trivial information. I know a little bit, and then I forget about it. I don't think about it for a few years, and then I forget about a lot of this stuff. So, don't quote me on every little detail here. But I would say that, pardon me, this game is what made a lot of folks who don't normally play video games pick something like this up. So anyways, this was a very huge game, and them playing it made me want to play it on my Game Boy, which is where I was first exposed to it. I'm pretty sure that Tetris actually existed on the NES several years before this came out. I want to say this was a pack-in, so this would have been 89. I think Tetris on the NES had already come out. I don't know, don't quote me on that, maybe 86, 87, somewhere around there. So a couple years later, we get it on the Nintendo Game Boy. But, so playing this, made me dig through my stacks of games, and I've got more stacks. I'm not sure how many games I've got. I think for my original Game Boy, I've got, 29 or 30 actual cartridges. And I started watching YouTube videos on, what's popular, what a lot of people playing, and this and that. And I come across this. And I've actually made several videos about this, but I didn't like how it turned out, so I didn't upload that. But basically, I found this cartridge that had, see if I can zoom in there on that, has 108 games on one cartridge. And I thought, okay, well, that thing probably cost $80 or something, so no big deal. I'm not super interested in that. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll find a flash card, etc., etc. But then I saw the price. This is like $12 for 108 games. And I found a list of the games, and I saw several games in there that were high quality. I saw several games that I was interested in playing, so I picked this up. And then I dug in, and I started playing these games, and I've not played anything through completion, and but I've had a ton of fun with it. There's probably like 4 games I actually really want to play and beat on this. But there is a Pokemon game on here that I started on this. Oh, I don't know. I've probably had this cart since, if I'm going to guess, I'm going to say about 2014 or so, 2013, maybe 2012. And because I had kids in my family who were playing these games, I thought that I would join them, and I tried. But it's kind of heavy. Heavier than most of my other games, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's my mind. But, so I did play this, and I'm not even sure. I haven't touched it in 4 or 5 years, so I might go back at some point and play it, but it's actually in here. That game's in here, so I don't know. Maybe I'll find a way to transfer my game save from this to this if I can, and pick it back up. I don't know. And one of the benefits to having these types of all-in-one units is that you don't have to carry a big stack of games. You know, basically this is 108 games. And I was tempted to grab all of my games for all of my systems, GBA, Nintendo, you know, the, what am I looking for? What's the word? My DS, my GBA, my Game Gear, my Vita, and my 3DS, basically, Atari Lynx, all these different systems. And it was getting hard. I like to lug this stuff around and hand consoles out to people and say, hey, check this out, or hey, look at this, isn't this cool? Look at these old great games, you know. And nowadays, it seems to be people are okay with not so great graphics. You know, I think as long as they can see the screen, which you can here now since I've modified and added a backlight, you can see this in the dark. Of course, we don't have a cartridge in there now, but I guess that's kind of besides the point. That's one of the cool things is that, you know, you don't really have to have a case for these. You can just get a flash cart, stuff this in a clean sock, and then throw said sock in a bag, and you can do that for every one of these systems, and then you're covered. But anyways, I kept, you know, I was messing with this, and I don't know, for some reason I've always kind of skipped over the Game Boy Color. I've never been a huge fan of it. I'm not even sure where this particular console came from, but it was in rough shape. I remember I had to fix it. I think its speaker was bad, something else was bad, and I have a bias against this particular handheld. Well, to back up a little bit, the competitors for Nintendo's Game Boy was the Sega Game Gear and the Atari Lynx. Pardon me. Both of those games were backlit. Both of those systems were backlit. And I thought for sure the next Game Boy would be backlit. It wasn't. It was, in my opinion, it was the successor to the Game Boy. And it was not worthy. It wasn't that big of a jump, in my opinion. Now, I know that there was an incremental jump. There was the Game Boy Pocket. You know, it's kind of cool how I come across this guy. This was in a bag that was dropped off. I work at a place where people assume that we take recyclable electronics because there's computer things that come and go. And there was a box of old cables and cords, and I was just, you know, if somebody drops this stuff off and I'm not there to tell them, no, we don't take stuff, it gets left there anyways. And then I come back and then I see the box sitting there, and there's always a box of junk I have to go through. I think there's a box of VCR tapes up there right now waiting for me to go through. Had I been there, I'd say we don't take this stuff. But anyways, I was going through this box and I was throwing stuff into the trash. I mean, if it's there and I'm already stuck with it, I may as well see if there's something cool. And I was throwing stuff and there was a bag in there, and I took the bag out of the box and I started pitching it towards, pardon me, I started pitching it towards the waste basket, and I felt something in there. And I'm like, wait a minute. So before I actually released the bag to the trash, I brought it back in front of me and unzipped it. And it had this in there. And, 4 or 5 games. I don't remember what games they were. I'm pretty sure this was one of them. I think this might have been one of them. The games weren't in the best of shape, and I definitely need to clean them up and stuff. I still haven't done that. I don't know. Maybe I never will. Who knows? I've had this for a couple of years now. Probably right at 2 years. And when I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, it's another stupid Game Boy Color. And then it wasn't until it was in my possession for a year or so before I looked at it more closely. And then I saw that it is not a Game Boy Color. It's a smaller version of the Game Boy, which made me more exciting. It looks... this has always bothered me. This has always looked like a child's toy. I have no problem with child's toys. I don't know. I'd rather the handhelds not look like children's toys for some reason. That kind of bothers me. But anyway, so that's how I come across this guy. I thought that was kind of neat. It's kind of thin. I don't know a whole lot about it. I put batteries in it once and made sure it worked. So that's how I ended up getting this guy. But I've always pretty much ignored the Game Boy Color. But I did have an ex-girlfriend who got me this back in 2001, which I just put batteries in tonight. But it was not backlit. Oh, that reminds me, I never finished my story, which I won't elaborate too much, but this aggravated me so much that it was such a small jump in technology from this that I actually chose this as one of my cases for a college paper I had to write regarding, gosh, I don't know, sales, marketing, innovation, something to that effect. That's been 20 years ago now. So, anyways, yeah, so right from the get-go, I'm like, this is... Nintendo's been milking this for way too long, and I don't know. I don't hate Nintendo for that decision. It was the consumers who continued, the consumers continued to purchase the stuff, and hey, you know what? If people like it, so be it. And then you had the Pokemon craze, which, from what I can tell, hasn't really stopped. Maybe it's slowed down. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you, but Pokemon's not really my thing. I know lots of people like the Pokemon stuff, and I'm not going to judge. I've got my things that I like. So, anyways, getting more on point. Getting this out, getting this going, picking this up, getting into the games, watching videos on YouTube. It led me to getting this out. And I've had this for 5 or 6 years. And I got this, I don't know, probably on eBay for $40 or something. Pardon me, years ago. And I decided that about almost exactly 3 years ago, I'd get one of these. This is a flashcard, so you can get your game ROMs. And see, what I do is, I would much rather carry this, just stick this in my pocket, than have to stick this and like 10 games in my pocket. So once again, we're carrying less. That's one of the main benefits of this. So I always have, like, inside this guy, you can browse these folders. And I always have, like, something called My Stash or My Physical Discs. And then I have other stuff that I downloaded that I probably should not have or whatever. But, I've never really cared about that sort of thing. I downloaded the entire Game Boy Advance ROM set, and it's on this card. And I guess I can show you that. So we use this to browse into the flash drive. I don't know how well you can see that. GBA ROMs, my stash, that is the games that I physically own and or games that I actually plan on playing. Otherwise, everything else is in these GBA folders. I had to break them up. You can only have like 70 or 80 files per folder for the, I don't know, the kernel of this interface. You can't, if you have more than that, it corrupts or something happens. And I think that might have been why it took me 3 years to get to this, because I had 2 bad SD cards I was trying to set this up with, and that's terrible. The kernel runs from the SD card, and the games are stored there, and your game saves are stored there. So, but yeah, this is a fantastic little device. So there's the games that I'm actually playing and or own. And then I have everything else. And I broke them up into individual folders. So I called it GBA 01, 02, 03. So you open up any one of these folders, they're going to have 70 to 80 games. I don't remember what that number is off the top of my head. Alphabetically listed. So that's kind of cool. So I essentially have every GBA game for North America on here. And I probably could take it one step farther and get I have the complete GBA ROM set on one of my hard drives. So I don't remember how much space that occupied here. If I had to guess, 10 gigs. But I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure. I don't remember. 2 gigs was too small. I do know that. And I had a 200 gig micro SD card somewhere around here. And I'm like, well, that's too big. I don't need that big of a SD card here for this. But so anyways, I'm playing this and I'm watching videos and super excited to get this going. And I'm playing these games, and then I realize, hey, you know what? The screen is way better than this, but it still sucks. And I guess I can give you a demonstration. I'll just fire up a game that I have laying around. Let's see here. Where are all my games? I'm going to hit the pause button. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, Advance Wars. I've had this copy since, well, it was one of my first games. And to be honest with you, that's not exactly true. I loaned it to a friend, never got it back. I loaned it to a friend back in 2002, 2003. And around 2013, 2012 or so, I started asking for him because I'm still friends with him. I'm like, hey, by chance, do you still have that old thing? He's, nah, blah, blah, blah. He'll look. Well, he's gotten married and kids since then, so who knows? So I went and bought another cartridge of it. So we're just going to show you the difference between the original Game Boy Advance and its upgrade. So back in the day, when it was going from this to this, I don't know, maybe people were excited. I've barely turned this on. Supposedly it has a better screen, but it's still not backlit. And then going from this to this, I still didn't care. But going from this to this, that was a big jump in technology. I want to say this is like an 8-bit system, and this is the graphics here on the original Game Boy. They are a little bit worse than the Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's what we called it here in North America. Now, at the time, we thought the Nintendo was awesome, and we thought that this was the same thing, but it wasn't. It was more like, I don't know, 50 to 75% of the power or something of an NES. I don't know for sure, so I don't know. But, going from this to this, that was a big jump. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. If I hit a button, it should bring them both back to the title screen at the same time. And we should have that somewhat synchronized. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference and how visible. I don't know if there's anything else I can do. I could do the viewing angle. I mean, it's so dark you can't hardly see. You know, if I turn off the light in this room, you absolutely will see nothing over here. I mean, this just simply isn't backlit. I had a worm light for this. It plugged in up here, kind of coiled up, and then hung over. It was weird. It was weird. It worked, but it sucked. I have it somewhere. I'll have to dig it out at some point. But as you can see, you could actually play in the dark with this, or low light situations, because this is a front lit screen, and this was a godsend at the time. However, recently I've been trying to play these games, and I realize I can't see the screen, and it's not my vision. I have really good vision. I can read small fine print easily. A lot of folks have to hand me things to read things for them, and anyways, I was reading, I'm like, why does this screen suck? Why is it so dim? Why are the colors washed out? And then I saw, oh yeah, everybody was talking about this. People were talking about this Game Boy. So this is a slight revision to this. Now on this, they look exactly the same, but you'll notice, let me see here. You'll notice that if we turn them both off, even though they look identical, let me see something here. This one has a gray screen. This one has a black screen. They have totally different screens. This one's much better. And if you turn them both on, let's see if I can do them both at the same time. Nope. I'm not coordinated enough for that. The difference is subtle to the camera, but to the human eye, there's a big difference. The colors are much sharper. It looks brighter, it looks crisper, and the viewing angle is better. Now, we do have these buttons here, and on this Game Boy, that button does a couple of different things. It either turns the light off or on. On this Game Boy, it turns the brightness from default to even brighter. Okay? And when I make it look as bright as I can, it may actually look a little washed out, and I only think that that's because my camera's having a hard time dealing with how bright that is in such a small area. Alright, so now we're going to do a little bit of a test. We're going to put the same game in each console. Unfortunately, I don't have two copies, so I have to load up the flash cart, and then we'll look at them side by side. So again, I've got to use the flash cart file browser, browse to this. It won't take long. It's there. It does take a little bit longer to load, which I'm okay with. That's not a bad deal. All right, so I'm going to hit, I want them both. I want them both in demo mode. Hit A on both. There we are. Okay, so now they're in sync, and you can kind of get an idea of how good one looks compared to the other. And just for the sake of fairness, I'm going to turn the light off in here. And I'm going to, let's see, where are we at with the brightness? The brightness is on the lowest setting here. You'll see the colors look better. Well, maybe it doesn't look better to the camera and to the viewer right now, but they are definitely better. The colors are definitely different. And also, we're going to move the camera and show viewing angles. You'll see the viewing angle on the, basically the blue one, the dark blue one is the AGS 001. The light blue one is called AGS 101. And you'll see the viewing angle, we start to lose the picture on the on the 001. It begins to look like a weird magnifying glass, and it puts this weird, I don't know if the diffuser's doing something. You can see that line, there's a 45-degree line. It's got something to do with the lighting or the diffuser, and it's kind of hard to get away from that completely. Now what if we try to come this way, and I'll zoom in. Digital zoom in the dark, looking at bright little screens, probably not the best comparison. As you can see, you can still see the screen on the right. The screen on the left is just a blurry, washed out mess. That translates to everything, in my opinion. Look at the dark colors. See how it's like washed out? It's like that old school LED, LCD look. It's very doable, but I don't know, it's not very good. The screen on the right is so sharp you can see pixels. See, the camera's picking up on the pixels over here, and it's so dull over here on the left, you can't see the pixels. Let me see if I can focus it, make it focus a little more. Can I get it to show the pixels on this side? It looks like I kind of have to zoom in to get to where we can see the pixels. Oh, and yeah, and I got a bunch of dust underneath the screen. So the pixels are pretty clear over here. So I'm going to turn one more device on, and this is another device that I picked up recently, and it's a long story short. I got a pink DSi, and see, I had the original DS. Somebody, this was a gift. I got it for Christmas. I think it came with Final Fantasy, which now I can't find. It's either been borrowed from me without my knowledge, or I loaned it out to someone, which I almost never do. And it's gone. I played this quite a bit. The DS can play Game Boy, and I think it's Game Boy. No, it's Game Boy Advance games. And then there's the slot for the DS cards, or the DS games. But yeah, so I come across this, and I basically said I was not interested. Somebody was trying to trade this or have me buy it or something, and it sat up at my work for like 3 months or something, and then they finally got back with me, and long story short, I ended up getting it for a pretty good deal. I said I'm not a fan of this, but I don't like the color. I didn't know anything about it, but then I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this thing is actually built very well. Of course, we're missing the stylus. I got a stack of games for it, but they're mostly like girly kiddie games. There was one Mario game in there, but I already had it. Battery life seems excellent. Has a good screen, and it has internal storage, and the hacking community, homebrew community, is awesome. So it took me a while, but I followed a tutorial, and in fact I shot many videos of myself making or following that tutorial, and that tutorial missed all kinds of things. The tutorial was very detailed 90% of the time, but that 10% that it just skips over, man, that was rough. But I in the end I got it. So I've got Homebrew. I got the menu, Twilight Menu Plus on here, and it does everything that I'm interested in. It even will now play my DS flashcards. So I thought, hey, you know what? How about we just go ahead and launch the GBA Runner 2. This is a emulator for the DSi that will run Game Boy Advance games. And I got to tell you, it runs really good. And I'm playing. I have a game save for GT Advance 3 Pro Concept Racing, which, by the way, is an excellent game and a lot of fun. It's not realistic, but it kind of tries to be realistic with this Mode 7 style racing game. And it's kind of like Gran Turismo. You unlock cars and upgrades, and you can tune your car and this sort of thing. But so let's go ahead and get all three of these sunk up at the same time. I need them all in demo mode. Ah, that's not what I wanted. And I actually ordered this about a week and a half ago, so this actually came after getting this. And had I known that this was going to be so awesome, I probably would not have gotten this. But it is kind of cool how small this is. It's almost like half the size. Yeah, look at that. So, anyways, I'm enjoying it. The pink one, that is. But I guess I wanted to show off the three screens and how they kind of compared. So we're going to let them all get into demo mode, and then we're going to reset them all at the same time. I missed one. And then we'll turn the light off, and you can kind of make up your own mind. This is the better screen. And you'll see that these two are way more similar. This is the oddball. Okay, we're almost there. Okay. And I know we got glare over here, so I'm going to turn the light out. And again, you can see that the screen is so bright that it's almost making the camera hard to deal with the other two. You'll notice that the colors are similar on the pink and light blue one. So, but anyways, super excited. This thing has excellent battery life. I got a new battery for this. The battery in this sucks. I got the teal green eBay battery for like $7, and I regret it. It only takes an hour to charge, like 2 hours to discharge. This I could play for hours and hours and hours. The battery life is so good on this, I can set it down on and not worry about the battery dying. This thing is ridiculous. This chews through the battery, but I don't think it's the GBA's fault. I think it's that battery. So I'm not sure what to do with it. I just got this battery like 2 weeks ago. But you know, so that's it. That's where I am with this stuff, and I'm having a ton of fun with it. I've still got a ways to go for learning how the 3DS works. I like that screen. It's great. And I'm probably going to backtrack, get back into the Game Boy, but I might play the Game Boy games on these other systems, and it probably won't be the GBA with the bad screen. The one with the bad screen's probably going to get kicked to the curb. I'll keep him. He'll stay in my collection. I don't know. I might just play here. I don't know yet. I also, in my adventures for looking up GBA games, I saw where Nintendo released what they called NES Classics on GBA, and I saw where someone was selling one of these. Somebody actually was talking about it on YouTube, so I thought, well, what is that? And I looked it up, and it was like $20, and there's 150 NES games on this. Now, it comes in this little plastic case that's hard to open the way that they intended you to open it, but you can just pry it open with your thumb. And this is kind of well built. it looks like an official cartridge. It can't be. It's pretty sturdy. They've even got the Game Boy and then like Nintendo stamped inside here somehow. I'm not sure what all that entails, but so what I did is I ordered this. It showed up. I was pretty excited. This is 150 NES games on the Game Boy Advance, that is. And I plan on also getting into the NES. I've got a couple of those. I never really played it. I had kids, neighborhood kids had them, and I'd go over and play with them on their systems, but we never had one. We had an Atari 5200 and only one game. But, you can go in here, find a game that you're interested in, and you got this menu that scrolls. Boy, this looks a lot better than my old front-lit version. So that I didn't know what this was, but I got a list of games here. And it kind of plays the music. And then shows the splash screen as you're like going down through these. So I'll go ahead and launch Contra. That's a game that I remember liking a lot as a kid, and that looks really good. It doesn't sound perfect. I noticed right away that I'm like, that sound sounded a little weird. I'm like, well, this is a bootleg cart, so anything's possible. And I think I accidentally hit the left and the right button at the same time. And then this came up. I'm like, this looks like emulator speak. I'm like, So I Googled Pocket NES, and sure enough, that's what this is. This is an emulator. I'm like, well, that's cool, because somebody found a way to run a game, an NES emulator as a Game Boy Advance game. And I dug into it, and I thought, hey, you know what? I can do that. I already had the ability to do that. So I dug in, and I made a great big long video showing how that worked, but the video did not turn out well, so I'm not uploading that video. Maybe another time, but I don't know. I'll show you. You have to build a Game Boy Advance ROM, and you get the emulator, and you get your games, and then you create a menu list, and then you get this program that packages all together as one game. So let's see here. I made a couple of folders here. I planned on doing every NES game. And then I did what I call my stash, which is like my 40, 50, 60 games that I plan on checking out. And then I did an example for a video, but again, I didn't upload that. So here's just my stash. And again, you launch this, and then you get a menu. And that menu gives you your chance or time. It gives you your opportunity to choose which ROM or which NES ROM you're going to choose and launch. So we're getting going there. So that's my set. And again, 150 NES games for $20. And you don't got to fool with anything. Just pop it in your GBA and you're good to go. The flash cart that I'm using, I don't know what it costs now. All this stuff's more expensive now. With various things going on with the economy and stuff like that, a lot of gaming stuff has gotten more expensive. I don't know, maybe it's $50, $60 now. But, so here's, a list of games that I've got. Double Dragon, Double Dribble, DuckTales, Earthbound. Some of these are games that I've just heard other YouTubers talk about, but I'd like to maybe check out at some point. Metroid. I definitely want to check out Metroid. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. That game doesn't run right for some reason. You can almost see right now, even that screen doesn't look right. Maybe I got a bad ROM. I don't know. Pac-Man Pro Wrestling Punch-Out. Wonder if that's my... That one's acting crazy too. Ride Racer, RC Pro-Am, RoboCop, Spy Hunter, Super C. That's Contra. And we'll just launch Double Dragon. I'm going to turn the volume down. I don't know how copyright stuff works. I don't want to get in any kind of trouble. My videos only get, I'll probably only get like 3 or 4 views on this video, so it probably doesn't really matter. But so anyways, that's, I don't know, that is really, in a nutshell, I guess in a 40-minute video, that's what I've been doing with this stuff. You know, so I've been having a ton of fun with that, you know, and now I'm like, well, which system do I carry? I'm not sure which system I should even drag with me. And technically, the pink one can do it all. The pink one can play all this stuff. It can play the original Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, NES, and DS games. So I really should just carry this. It's probably got an awesome battery life. It's probably more efficient than the GBA. It's probably got a newer battery. You know, and I guess I can show you. I can get to my DS settings once the Twilight menu fully launches. I'm still trying to understand what these white screens are about. Might be because I'm hitting buttons before I should. But I know once you get to this screen, you can hit select, and it brings up what's called the classic DS menu, I think. Yes. And then there's the Cyclo DS flash cart. And this should load the flash cart like it would on a DS. There we are. And then I've got all that this has access to. I think I've got all the NES games on this particular flash card. Has like all NES games. I don't know if it's going to run. I know it's slow to load because there's like 1,000 or 1,200 games or something in that one directory, so it might take it a minute to load. So that's probably a mistake. It looks like I've had this inside of an Android device at some point. So yeah, it might look like it's locked. It's not. It normally isn't this slow, so maybe it is locked, but I suspect we're still trying to load that folder. I hope. I don't know. But, you know, meanwhile, I've also got this. I want to say I've got a 200 or 400 gig micro SD card. Yeah, it looks like that loaded. I mean, that's the incomplete ROM set for the NES. Contra E, Contra Force, Contra J. We'll just do Contra E. See how that does. See how it plays. I don't know. This is like an emulator within an emulator within an emulator at this point. Maybe. Yeah. Not going to say that I'm good. So anyways, that's, you know, this is so much fun. Had I known as a kid that in 30 years I'd have every Nintendo game on something that I could play on something I could slide in my pocket, and I don't know, man, I would have started working on a time machine. So I don't know, I just think that's fantastic. You know, so one of these days maybe I'll do a comparison between these two. It looks like the 3DS has a bigger screen, even like just looking at the upper screen, quite a bit bigger than the DSi. So, and again, even this has been homebrewed or hacked or whatever, modified, and it's got so much stuff on here. I can even run Genesis games and all kinds of stuff right from the home screen on this. So this is pretty awesome. The bad thing of it is it's slowed down, and I think it's because I've got so many games on here. It takes forever to load. One of these days I need to figure that out. The crazy thing is, on this particular device, I have only beat like 2 games. I have a folder called Beats. Okay, it looks like I've beat a total of 3 games on this thing the entire time I've had this. So, and it seems like every time I go to grab it, the battery's dead. But that's my fault. I let it sit a lot of times. But anyways, that's a 45-minute video of me just rambling about this Nintendo stuff. I've got more stuff. You know, this is probably 80% of it. You know, I've got my Atari Lynx and Sega Game Gear, PSPs, Vita. I got all kinds of LCD games. Maybe one of these days I'll show all that stuff at some point. I don't know. I can think of a way to create a cool video and just kind of share. But again, I just really wanted to ramble on about my recent adventures with my Nintendo handhelds and what they mean to me and why I like them. And yeah, so I guess that's all I got.